It's so powerful to be honest and candid. It doesn't mean you tell your kids every gory detail of your past. You could hurt them telling too much. Okay?
Yeah.
But being honest about your heart is what I'm talking about. When you go to a boy and you're candid about things, you're honest about your heart towards him, then he can come back to you one day and be honest about his heart to you.
You're using your power in a way that's impacting the world in a positive way. And if we look around, that's not the majority. Right. I mean, there's a movement of men who are stepping into their identity, but the only way that that's going to continue to happen is if men understand your concepts. And you've said it, men lead men into manhood. Men lead men into manhood. So we have to lead our boys into manhood. So let me ask you this, for the guy who's like, geez, you read those boy psychology things and I'm not self-controlled myself. How am I going to lead my son if I'm not even leading myself? What would you say to that guy who's thinking that right now?
I'd say to him, you can control yourself. You can. You may not be, but you can. And you don't give up for your son's sake. You say, well, because I'm not controlled is not a reason and not an excuse for me to, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to lead him. It's because your son is so important, because you are his father, that you decide, I'm going to get serious about myself. And you know, as a counselor, I know that there are roots behind all of this. And so it's a little complicated for this conversation. But I would say to those guys, look, don't just toss in the towel, because there are no perfect fathers. Okay. I'm not one. I'm not going to be one. There are no perfect dads. There are just dads who are decided that they're going to do their best to be dad to their kids. And I think, though you're not perfect, you may not be self-controlled, you can go to your son right now, if he's old enough, if he's old enough to understand, you can go to him right now and say, son, I tell you what, and this is my prescription. This is what I would say to every dad that's listening. You go to your son this evening, as soon as you see him, you say, son, I want to talk to you. And you sit him down, you say, look, I love you with all my heart. And I want you to grow up to be a great man, with self-control and esteem in the right ways. I have not been a perfect example, but I'm going to try better for your sake and for my sake. And let's start praying together. And you pray for daddy. You ask God to help daddy to turn this around. And I'll be working on it as well for you. Let's work together on this. What do you say, son? First of all, now you got buy-in because you got accountability. He's watching, right? So that you helped yourself with a little more than normal. And you took it to the Father. And that's the right place to go with it. And he sees you as real. You do not pretend, because he will know the difference. He knows. You can't fake it now. So don't pretend. Be honest. That might be shocking to him, to be brutally honest. But what an example. When he fails, he doesn't have the shame of having to hide his failures from people or from you or from others, that he'll come to you. Let me give you an example. This is so powerful to be honest and candid. It doesn't mean you tell your kids every gory detail of your past. You could hurt them telling too much. Okay? But being honest about your heart is what I'm talking about. But one of my sons, and so I'm not going to say which one, but one of my sons came to me after these trips, a few years after these trips, came to me. I was on the porch, and he walked up on the porch beside me, and I was I forgot, reading or something, and he walks up beside me and kneels down beside me. And as he starts to kneel down beside me, I saw a tear hit the porch and just splat. I mean, like you see it, teardrops that are big puddles. Literally, that was a couple of drops hit, and they were big. I thought, what is going on? Is he hurt? So I turned to him, and he knelt down. He had his head down. He was crying, heavily sobbing. He said, Dad, I am so ashamed. So I'm alerted. What's going on? He said, Dad, I have been on a porn site, and I feel so bad. I don't want to be this man. So I turned to him, and I held him. He's taller than me at this point, as big as I am, I should say. And I held him, and I said, I'm with you, and we will get you through this. Thank you for coming to tell me this. It took a real man to do that. I'm proud of you. Now, that opened the avenue for him to share his heart. And together we worked on that. And he gained victory in his had a complete victory. It took some work. I mean, that's a difficult thing.
Right.
But he took some work and he did the right things, and it built his heart. Our relationship is good. But what I'm saying is that when you go to a boy and you're candid about things, you're honest about your heart towards him, then he can come back to you one day and be honest about his heart to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just what you want, rather than hiding that stuff or feeling shameful but not dare bring it to you because he doesn't want to look bad or something.